Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sam Norris here with another property finance video, and today I'm talking all about Boris's strange announcement about how he thinks that we should be bringing back 99% mortgages. So if you're interested on my thoughts and my take on the Boris blunder, as I'm calling it, stick around because I'm going to go through all of that in this video today. Property is about patience. So essentially, as I've said before, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, has recently started talking about how he believes that the first-time buyers should be enabled to get mortgages that are much higher in terms of loan to value than we've become used to since the credit crunch. He started off talking about 95%, which we have had since the credit crunch. We haven't had them since the coronavirus has hit. Since we've come out of lockdown, 90% has been the absolute max, and that seems to be sort of few and far between at the moment. But he's also mentioned 99% mortgages. That is 1% equity, people. Not a lot at all. Now, I've got a few different opinions on this. I'm not anti-Boris by any stretch of the imagination. I find him incredibly fascinating and entertaining. And I don't necessarily think he's done the worst job in the world of being Prime Minister during one of the most difficult times in our recent history. But certainly on this, I've got a few things that if I had him in the room with me, I would certainly love to question him on and get his kind of thought process on it, really. So essentially, the whole premise of a loan to value is it creates essentially a risk factor for a lender. So the lower the loan to value, usually the bottom end of that is 60%. So that's 40% equity and 60% loan, where lenders offer the absolute lowest in terms of interest rates. And the reason why the interest rates are low is because it's a really low risk loan for the bank to give out, because the any properties that they need to repossess, the market would have to drop by over 40% for them to not be able to sell this property easily and regain their capital, basically. And as this goes up, we go to 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90 roughly at the moment. And when each of those stages, the risk becomes slightly higher to the lender, and therefore the cost will go up. Now, when we're talking about Boris's 95 and 99% mortgages, first thing I just want to mention is there's a reason why lenders have pulled out of the 95% market, and some are even pulling out of the 90% market. Barclays recently have even pulled out of the 75% market. I mean, that's due mainly because they're really busy. But the case in point is that if lenders, banking institutions that understand the economy, understand their risk and how to assess it, have decided that they don't want to lend mortgages at this level, it probably means that the people that run their analytics and all this kind of stuff have determined that there's a decent chance that the market is going to drop over the next couple of years. And so actually creating products that do not give enough equity to withstand that would put borrowers in a really tricky situation. And also it means that the lenders themselves will be putting themselves in a really difficult situation, because when repossessions eventually potentially come, they are not going to be able to get their money back that they have lent out. It's relatively simple. So if banking institutions up and down the country, the NatWests, the Nationwides, the Halifaxes, the Barclays, the Santanders, the Lloyds, the TSBs, all of these banks are not offering these products, and they are determining that the risk is too high. Why does Boris think that he knows better? Is the first thing. Now, the worrying thing for me on this is actually what it is. It's kind of, I mean, if we were kind of in a position where we were about to go back to the back to the voting stands, then potentially this would be called like a sort of a vote-winning policy. First-time buyers are gagging to get on the property ladder, and this would be seen as something that would help them get on the property ladder. But the way I see it is, what's the point in getting on a broken ladder? The potential risk to this, it sounds great. It sounds like Boris is trying to help, but ultimately what he's potentially going to do with this policy is cause a lot of havoc and actually put first-time buyers in a worse position moving forward than they would be if they just carried on renting. And here's why. Because if you think you take out a 99% mortgage, the market only has to drop by 2% for you to then be in negative equity. Now, if you don't need to refinance or you're not selling your property, in reality, it doesn't make too much of a difference. However, think of if they went onto a 2-year fixed rate mortgage, what would happen in 2 years' time? The market has dropped. Yes, they might have paid off a little bit. Maybe they've paid down to 98%. So say the market's dropped by 3%. They're now in negative equity. And what that means is that if they now need to refinance at the end of their 2-year fixed rate, there are no products available for them to do that because they're in negative equity. They would need to pay off a proportion of their loan to get it down to maybe 90%, which is probably where we're likely to be. So they've got to pay off 8% of the value of their property, or actually it's going to be slightly above 8% because they're in negative equity, but you get what I'm saying. To get it down to 90%, just in order for them to remortgage. Now, why do they need to remortgage? Well, at the end of your fixed rate, lenders will automatically put you onto what we call their standard variable rate. Every lender has a different standard variable rate that they determine. It used to kind of coordinate quite a lot with the Bank of England base rate, but it's written into the terms and conditions now. They don't have to. So they can put this up and down as and when they choose, and it's usually significantly more. There are lenders out there with a standard variable rate of over 6%. Now, this can put these borrowers in considerable financial hardship because suddenly their monthly payment might have gone up, might have doubled, or even gone up by 3 times. It's absolutely ridiculous that Boris is thinking that they are going to be able to afford this. They're not, and this is where people are going to fall down on their repayments. They're going to have loads of black marks against their credit reports, and it means that they may even get their properties repossessed, which means that they're then going to be in a really, really tricky situation, and they may never get back onto the property ladder. So actually, what we probably should be doing, if we want to support first-time buyers, and by the way, a bit of a controversial thing, I am a great believer that you're not born with a God-given right to own a property, least of all in the area of your choosing. And so, there is a kind of a school of thought here that if you can't afford a 10% deposit, should you be really buying yourself a home? And renting isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. The Americans have been doing it for years. It seems to be a thing in Britain, less so now than maybe 10 years ago or so when I started in the world of work, where you were sort of pushed into this. You need to own your own property. But taking that away, there are lots of other ways that the government have in the past and could in the future help first-time buyers get on the ladder. They could, commuter towns are great areas for new first-time buyers and new families to buy their homes. So maybe they could provide cheaper travel if they were to relocate to these areas and move away from, say, central London or the centre of big cities where property prices are higher. Or they could reinvigorate the Help to Buy scheme that has been helping first-time buyers for years. I bought my first flat using the Help to Buy scheme, and it was great. And it means that the loan that you have with the government is equity based. So if there's no real massive growth in the market, your loan isn't going to increase with the government, which is a positive thing. So today's video has been a little bit of a rant, really, because I do think that this would be a massive error. Yes, it helps people get onto the property ladder, but is that really the be all and end all of things? And do we want to be putting people unwittingly into serious situations where they could fall into financial hardship. No, we don't. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'm really interested to hear people's opinions on this. I've heard both sides of the argument, and some people very passionate on both sides. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Is Boris right to be bringing back 95 and 99% mortgages for first-time buyers to help stimulate, well, it's not to stimulate the market, it's to help first-time buyers get on the ladder? Is he right to do that, or is he just setting them up to fail? And could we be looking at some real issues in terms of increased repossessions in years to come? Let me know. Don't forget, you can also subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching right now, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell in order to get notifications of when all my new videos come up. I do one a week at the very least. You can also follow me on Instagram at the Sam Norris. Every Monday at 5 p.m. I do a video, the Monday Mortgage Melt, where I talk about all things mortgages, answer your questions live. So don't forget to go over and follow me on there. And of course, if you want to ask me any questions about this, feel free to message me on any of the apps that I've just mentioned. I like to try and reply to all messages within 24 hours. Sometimes it's a bit tricky, but yeah, I'll do my very best. Maybe sometimes at the weekend it takes me a little bit longer, but certainly during the week I try and get back within 24 hours. So I've been Sam Norris. I am the Property Investors Broker, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. See you later.